So in tech, we're pretty fortunate, like generally. Quite a few opportunities that are available to us. Personally, a few years back, even in the middle of the pandemic, actually, I was offered the opportunity to leave my then current position and move to a role that paid me more, offered me more scope of responsibility, but more importantly for me, gave me the opportunity to take on new learning opportunities so that I continue my growth, my career growth, at a company that I thought was doing very important things. So, packed up my family in Virginia, and we moved 3,500 miles across the country to San Francisco so that I could take on this job. The thing about the Great Recession, as many of you have probably heard of, this idea that there's this massive trend and that people are quitting, okay, is that people are not just quitting, they're growing. As a matter of fact, a survey was conducted last year that where 73% of the respondents said that they are looking to quit their current job in 2022. And the fact is they did. In 2021, in January, 3.3 million people quit their jobs in the United States. This year, in January, 4.3 million people quit their jobs. There was a 30% increase, okay? And the thing about those people who were quitting their jobs is that almost half of them were quitting for career growth opportunities. So what we're going to talk about today is people building, what I like to call people building. And I'm going to share with you a sort of playbook that I've been using to help develop your direct reports. Okay, so career planning for your direct reports. But before that, hi, I'm Burke. I'm a senior engineering manager at Twitter, and I lead the Tweets org. And we focus on making it safer, easier, and more fun to send tweets. So if you're a people manager or a leader, maybe it's a silly question to ask, why should you be developing your direct reports? Okay? But one of the things that I say to everybody that I mentor is that your career path is your responsibility. Right? Like you shouldn't wait for anyone to come for you, okay? You should focus on your own career. However, all of the leaders that I mentor, I let them know that it is your responsibility, your opportunity, actually, to help your reports continue to grow in their careers for quite a few reasons. We already talked about, oh, there's a missing emoji. It's that weird dotted face emoji that we've all been trying to figure out a way to use. I found a way to use it, but anyway. So we've already talked about attrition, right? People are leaving, okay? One of the things that we don't talk about a lot is succession, okay? So all of these people are leaving, and they're leaving for, of course, a variety of different reasons, not just career growth. I know for sure that there are a lot of reasons why someone might want to leave a company. Okay, but as these people are leaving, it's our responsibility to help set up the next set of leaders, the next set of senior engineers that can help lead our company, the next set of managers. It's incredibly important for all of this sort of cultural knowledge, institutional knowledge to remain at the company. Okay, and when a long-tenured employee leaves you, you lose really like a well of context. In the United States, a study was done by Gallup that suggested that voluntary attrition is a $1 trillion problem. U.S. businesses are spending $1 trillion every year making up for lost attrition. Startup idea, by the way. But it's not just important for your company and your employees. It's important for you as a leader to focus on people building. Okay, it's important to your reputation. Personally, as a leader, I want to be known as someone that helps their people grow, that helps people grow their careers. I want people to know that I care. I'm trying to hire, I'm trying to recruit all the time, I'm building my org, and as all of these people are leaving their companies to go over to greater opportunities, I want them to be leaving those companies and coming to work for me as a leader. Okay. So today, however, I'm gonna walk you through my playbook. It's just kind of a set of things that you can do. But I'd like to do something a little bit different if y'all will bear with me. Instead of just sort of giving you the tips and tricks and the stories, I'm gonna make eye contact every now and then, and I would like to speak to you as I speak to my reports. so that you can kind of get a little bit of a flavor of how I have these conversations, how I work through these topics. So, years ago, one of the things that I was taught about giving a talk is you should tell them what you're gonna tell them, and then you should tell them, and then you should tell them what you told them. So today, you and I are gonna walk through my playbook for how we're gonna handle career growth between us, okay? So we're gonna talk about your position, where you're at right now. We're gonna talk about the plan, which is where you would like to go. And then we're gonna talk about how you and I are gonna make progress together to help you get there. So let's start with your position, just where you are right now. As a manager, as your manager, one of the things that's very important is for me to understand our scope, the strategy for the company, strategy for our org, and the strategy for our team, what we're gonna be held responsible for, okay? The fact of the matter is that as an engineering manager, as a leader, I'm in Slack channels, email threads, and in meetings that you are not in. I have a certain set of context and perspective that as a leader, just by fact of my position, that you don't have, okay? And I'll say something that might ruffle a few of your feathers. Titles matter. We don't like to think that they do, but titles absolutely matter. Fact is that somebody has to approve the thing. Somebody has to approve the promotion, and everybody can't be in the meeting, and so certain people are in meetings and certain people aren't. But rather than focusing on the negative aspect of this and us getting to an argument on whether or not titles matter, okay, let's focus on the positive, okay? As your manager, I'm in these meetings and I get the opportunity to take this context that I get from an executive review or a strategy meeting when I'm meeting with people about what's going on in the company, and I get the opportunity to convey this information to you so that you can be more effective, so that I can empower you and give you opportunities to reach up and grow your skills and things like that. It is my responsibility to understand the scope of what we have to get done so that I can help you grow and so that we can be effective on our team. Managers are gatekeepers to context and responsibility, and opportunity. Hashtag people building. The next thing that is important is for you and I both to understand your level. So not every company has a career leveling framework. I think there was a talk a few years ago about career leveling frameworks. And maybe some of your startups, maybe it's not really appropriate for you to have this comprehensive leveling framework just yet. You should probably focus on building something that people want. But at our company, we have a pretty comprehensive career leveling framework. And the point of this framework is for us to clearly lay out, software engineer 1, ML engineer 2, engineering manager, for us to help you understand clearly what the expectations are, what we think you should know, and what you should be able to do, so that there's just a clear understanding of how you can be successful and what we expect for you at your position. And this gives us the opportunity to have one of our first tough conversations, okay? A candid conversation about your performance, okay? Here, alignment is gonna be very, very important. It's gonna be very difficult for you to be successful if you're not sure what it takes for you to be successful, if you don't know what is expected of you. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna take a look at some of your past reviews. Okay, I'm gonna look at your manager reviews, your peer reviews that you have, and I'm gonna kind of build up this context so that I can understand some of the past. But I'm not gonna take all of this as gospel, okay? We're gonna work through some of this together, so I can understand your performance from my perspective. But what I've also done is I've taken our career level framework and I've taken all of those competencies, those line items, and I've put them in a spreadsheet, an assessment. Okay? And what I want you to do is take this assessment and rate yourself. For all of the different competencies, I want you to let me know, what are you crushing it at, and where are some areas where, you need some growth, okay? Do not be afraid to tell me the things that you're really good at, okay? If you think you're really good at it, you should say so. On the other end, don't be afraid to rate yourself low on something that an area where you need to grow. Because it gives us the opportunity, to have that honest conversation, okay, and create opportunities for you to grow in those areas. My lawn was actually pretty high just this past week, and I knew that I was going to be out of town for a while, and the neighbors are going to be pretty upset if my lawn is completely overgrown. So I say to my son, who's 15, hey, bud, what I need for you to do is mow the lawn when you get home from school. And so an hour and a half after he got home from school, the lawn is not mowed, okay? But in his mind, he thought any time after school he could mow the lawn, okay? But in my mind, I said, mow the lawn when you get home from school. And so it's very difficult for him to be successful in that situation when it wasn't clear what the expectations were. Alignment on performance is absolutely essential for us to be able to move forward together. Okay, it's a little bit of a contract, right? If you understand what I expect of you, and I know that you understand what the expectations are for your level, what we're trying to get done on our team, okay, then we can move forward together, and you can be successful. And we can move forward and begin to build a plan. So we're going to talk a little bit about plan, we're going to talk about motivation, but I want to tell you a story. Years ago, I have an old friend who I almost made an enemy out of, okay? When I came into tech, I came in late, was relatively behind the game. My path was very windy with a bunch of failures, okay? And so I felt this sense of urgency. I had to make up lost time. Well, this guy that I went to school with, when I went back to school after having my son, who's 15 now, we came up in school together, and I was very judgmental because he didn't have that same energy, that same hustle, that I had. I was pretty toxic about it, honestly, and judgmental, and it almost cost me his friendship, along with others. The point of this is my plan, my path, my motivations are different from yours, right? And the opportunity that I have as your manager is to spend time with you, understand who you are, what you bring to the table, why you're here. And those motivations, they could be all over the place, right? You could be someone that is very interested in making the system incredibly efficient and scalable, right? Or someone that goes into code and, is very driven by fixing bugs, deleting code. I know people that love to delete thousands of lines of code. We don't talk about that enough. Adding code, we always talk about, but we don't praise people for deleting code. We should. But your motivations could be based on community impact. They also could be money. And we can talk about this for a second. But in Silicon Valley particularly, and maybe in tech in general, it feels like there's a little bit of a stigma around talking about money, okay? Personally, I support my mother financially fully, okay? All of that is on me. And in my life, in my entire lineage on both sides of my family, I'm kind of the first person to be financially successful at all. It's very difficult for someone to say to me, hey, you shouldn't care about the money. Okay, so I want you to know that money is important, money is a thing, and it is okay for you to tell me, hey, Burke, I'm interested in money, I want to have a salary conversation, okay? It's okay to talk about money. And so whatever your motivation is, it's okay. One of the things that I will do is I will send you a questionnaire, okay? It's got a few questions on it that talk about your worldview, what you're motivated by, and what you bring to the table as you're, thinking about the path that you want to be on. And I want you to answer these questions. One of those questions is, what drains you? Instead of what motivates you is the opposite, right? Like what drains you? So some people say inefficient code or unnecessary meetings. And I was having this talk with one of my engineers, and I asked him, what drains you? And in this conversation about career talks, he said to me, what drains me? Career conversations. And so it's a thing, right? But everybody's different, and everybody has a different set of motivations. And it's my opportunity to work with you and understand what you're motivated by. The trick is for me to not project my motivations on you, okay? And for you not to project your motivations on me. But we'll also talk about your path, Are you interested in staying technical and continuing on a technical path? Or are you interested in people management? As a matter of fact, there are a bunch of other paths as well. You can move into product, you can move into a totally different discipline altogether. I think we've done a pretty good job in tech making it so you don't have to become a manager to grow in your career, to make more money or to have more impact. You can rise all the way up to whatever level 9, level 10, at your company as a technical person. But it's our opportunity to work together to understand what your path is so that I can help design work to put you in position. And we'll talk a little bit about designing work. But once I know who you are and what you're interested in, we've talked a little bit about your level, okay? We talked about your performance. We understand what our team needs to get done and things like that. We're on the same page. We can start to talk about goals. As you're moving, through your career, it's important to understand that it's not just about the next level, it's about the next step in your career. Okay, and so creating these goals, we're going to do a few things. We're going to use the SMART framework. Maybe some of you are familiar with this. You can look it up. It is, all right, here's the test. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goals. I did that. And so, we're going to create these goals. We're going to make development goals, which are goals that will help you put on new skills, or take on more responsibility, learn new things, and grow. Okay, maybe learn a new programming language or something like that, a new library. But also, I'm gonna ask you to attach yourself to performance goals. So the higher you get in the organization, the more senior you are, the more responsibility you're taking on. I'm gonna ask you to say, attach yourself to goals that our team is held responsible for. So numbers that we have to move, or outcomes, objectives, KRs that we have to deliver on, okay? And with all of these goals, it kind of becomes a contract, right? It kind of becomes something that you and I can hold each other accountable to. And you can be successful because you and I are on the same page about what success looks like, okay? So we're all aligned in that way. And at that point, we can begin to make some progress. We can work together on these goals and make progress. So a few years back, I've been using this framework for years now. And a couple of years back, I had two high-performing engineers in particular that had expressed to me that they were interested in people management and kind of taking that shift over to managing people. And so at the time, at the startup that I was at, the roles were not available. There was no projection. There was no headcount open for, an engineering manager. But we didn't let that stop us. What we did is I began to give them opportunities to take on, more responsibility. So I had one of them lead some of our team meetings, our Scrum meetings, task, backlog grooming meetings, things like that, so that they can be up in front of the team. And another one was able to take on an intern, as a manager and sort of build those people management skills. And another was able to take a presentation that needed to be done to our team, to leadership, and present that to leadership, get some experience with that executive communication, which is a whole talk, right? And eventually, I left that company, and I was running 2 teams at the time. And so y'all know, or probably that it takes months, many times, to backfill for an engineering manager. But not only did it not take long, actually, we kind of just immediately backfilled these 2 roles for an engineering manager, or for these 2 teams that I was running, but I was able to stay there and help these 2 people ramp up, okay? So you and I, what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on these skills and these experiences and competencies now, instead of waiting. We're not gonna wait for the role to open up to begin preparing for it. So we'll talk about designing work. Generally speaking, there is always more work to be done than people. Okay, there's millions and millions of jobs out there that are unfilled right now. We have tons of work to do. And I like to look at it as like a menu of work that needs to get done. And I get the opportunity to work with you to understand what you're interested in and what your skill set is now, and ways that you can be very effective for our team, but also ways that you need to grow. I can look at the different things that need to get done and give you those opportunities so that you can grow. Designing work is something that generally is very difficult, and it's a competency that a lot of people actually don't have. And so focus on thinking about, what I will do is I'll focus on thinking about the competencies attached to these different things, and I'll help you find those opportunities so you can put those skills on. But then I get to use my sort of, experience, my stories, the different things that I've been through to help you move through these scenarios. So we're going to put you in scenarios that are going to be uncomfortable at times, okay? It's going to stretch you. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to build new relationships. You're going to have to put on new skills. Okay, and so when we sit down together and we have, checkpoints and things like that, we're going to talk about, what you're going through and how it's going. And I'm going to coach you through it, but I'm also going to hold you accountable, to how things are going. I'm interested in status from you. What's the progress? And we're going to need to communicate quite often about that. We're going to have checkpoints in our one-on-ones. I have a little template that I use here. And right at the top of this template for our one-on-ones, I'm going to put the growth areas that you and I have already talked about. We're already on the same page. And at the top of our one-on-one document that we look at every week or every 2 weeks, or, some people don't like to talk a lot, whatever. But whenever we meet for one-on-ones, we're going to get the opportunity to talk about these growth areas so that I can, hold you accountable and we can stay on the same page. Years ago, when this was actually my second stint as an engineering manager, but I had a small team, and I was the lead engineer, that had sort of built up this piece of software that we were working on, and I was still pretty much in the code, so I was an engineering manager, small team, still writing a ton of code and still in the critical path. The problem was I was also starting to take on some of these engineering management duties and supposed to be spending time, I guess, talking to people about career opportunities and stuff like that, but I wanted to write code, and I was very much in it. But things started to slip. I wasn't doing a great job with my teammates as a manager, and my code actually was suffering as well in the projects that we were trying to ship. And so my boss pulled me aside, to give me some of this feedback. And he said, hey, things aren't going well, and it seems like you've got a little bit of duality going on. And the thing that I need you to understand is what made you successful as an IC, as a great engineer, is not the same thing that will make you successful as an engineering manager. You've got to turn the corner, okay? And this feedback that he gave me was tough. It was hard for me to hear because I wrote a lot of this code. It's kind of my baby. I had a lot of pride in it, but I needed to let it go. I needed to begin to delegate and empower, my teammates as I'm trying to empower you, to take on this work. And it was tough, but it was one of the best pieces of feedback I could have ever gotten. He actually was caring about me when he gave me that feedback, right? Feedback is kindness. Don't be afraid to deliver tough, correct, valuable, constructive feedback. It's kindness. So at this point now, we're on the same page, right? We're having some of these tough conversations. We're able to give each other feedback because we trust each other. I know about your motivation. We know about what we need to do on our team. I understand your level and performance. We're really on the same page. And now we have brought ourselves to one of these, really one of the more fun parts of being an engineering manager. One of the things that I love to do, which is to talk about reward and recognition. And the thing about the thing about recognition, not everybody likes to be recognized by being sent out in the email blast or at the all hands, okay? Sometimes people just need to be acknowledged verbally, right? And so maybe that's you. And the point is for you and I to have a discussion and understand how you like to be recognized. As you're growing in your career and you're becoming more impactful, you've got more context, one of the things that I could do to recognize you is just include you in some of these meetings, right? Some of these strategy meetings, or when we're hashing out some of these difficult details, the meetings where I'm in gaining all this context. Now that you're ready, okay, now I can invite you. As a matter of fact, maybe you can go to the meeting and I can do something else. A side point here, a lot of times we talk about empowerment, right? We talk about leaders empowering their people to do things. But what I have found is when I sort of empower my people, okay, if I put you in position to reach up and grab some of these opportunities, all of these things that I have on my plate, and you reach up, you punch above your weight and get things done, you actually empower me. When you take things off my plate, you open me up to be able to do greater things for the company and continue to grow myself. But of course, we also need to talk about promotion, right? Everybody wants to continue to grow. And so promotion is incredibly challenging. At a lot of companies, we have these things called promotional packets. I'm sure you're familiar. They take a lot of time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take all of your experiences and the things that you've been doing. We're going to keep track. And I've had quite a few engineers over my time that some of them are always keeping track. They keep what's called a hype doc. right? Or they just go ahead and start a promotional packet and they keep track of everything that they're doing. But there are other people that are heads down in the work. And as a people manager, I'm gonna help you do that, okay? I would love for you to be able to focus on your work, okay? And then I will help you keep track of all the things that you're doing, and I'll help you be promoted, to that next level. But now we're gonna return to succession. Okay, so before we were talking about attrition, talking about people leaving the company and always needing to set up, the next couple of leaders. And what I'm interested in for you is figuring out, where your path is going to take you, and I can help you, or how I can help you find that next promotion into an opportunity, not just a level, but to an opportunity where you can have more impact on the company, okay? Firstly, that starts with our team, right? Like, I have goals. I'm being held accountable to certain things, and so I want to be successful on our team. So I want to help you be successful with me. However, again, it's a $1 trillion problem when people are leaving companies. So I want you to stay at the company. So if you find another opportunity, within the company, I would love to be supportive and help you, help make that connection and help you get there, okay? And as a matter of fact, if I'm looking on my team and I'm looking at the opportunities that we have, and I understand that, like, you're ready for an opportunity that I don't have, I'm gonna be looking for those for you, okay? And working with you to help you grow so that you can stay at the company, because it's money in the bank, right? But in addition to that, if and when it becomes the situation that your talent and your skill and your ambition have taken us to a place where we don't have an opportunity for you, and the only thing that you can do is look outside the company, I hope that as we've talked about all of this stuff that I want to do and work with you to build your career, I hope that you understand that I don't just care about the team, I don't just care about our company, I care about you. So I will support you as you move, through our company, and even, I would love to stay connected and help you grow in your career in general. I'm interested in building you and your career as a person, because people building is what great leaders do. We help you find out where you're at, okay? We help you determine where you're headed, and then we help you make progress so that you can get there. Thank you.